After experiencing the dual death of body and spirit, the protagonist takes you through an extraordinary experience and appreciates the charm of the Tao Te Ching. Experience a life that approximates reality. Death leads to life, death leads to deficiency, and it is difficult to understand one's own shortcomings. I only hope that everyone can find a place to belong and live a happy and fulfilling life. All kinds of ways are within it. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Who are you? Laozi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Who are you? Laozi. Originally, life is all about one's own choices. In 2018, a large-scale epidemic broke out in the ancient country of Yan and Huang, known as Blue Star. Only then did I know that Xia was walking on a small road in the county town. Crazy roast in my heart, the basic plot has not changed since I came to Blue Star from the Earth, so I should face it. My own condition is still so bad, I have to face it again at the age of 27. However, the end time of the ancient epidemic has been advanced. At the time of the epidemic, 6 months after its end, I have been gnawing on my own for nearly 30 years, penniless. The old lady made up her mind and sold her wedding house. Because Feng Jixia was tormented by his illness, he attempted to die several times but failed. All that's left is thin skin and bones. First, I was covered in poisonous sores, then my stomach grew bigger. I didn't even dare to get vaccinated, the doctor said, afraid of adverse reactions. Strangely, during this epidemic, many people with poor health have disappeared. Only then did I know Xia's goods and survive. In the same place, you won't fall twice, but this thing is in the courtyard, in the same position, you won't fall 5 times. 2 times, the head was broken and bleeding. If he falls down, he needs someone to help him. If he wrongly accuses his own people, he won't be able to take action. When sleeping, my mother and brothers often get up to check. I'm afraid that if he wakes up and doesn't breathe, he'll suffocate himself to death, and I'll have to turn him over, causing him to swell all over and transform. In ancient times, Shishir City in Jizhou was a small county town with a grand name, Xing County. It is said to be the place where the soldier immortal Han Xian set up a large backwater formation. Why did Xia, who knows this goods, walk down this path today with a stomach full and struggling? It's all because in his past life, when he was seeking death, he met an old man who vomited fragrance into his mouth, causing him to die unhappily. Actually, it's just 2 words, stingy, revenge has come. Even if I can't fight, I'll have to spit on your face. He's here, he's walking with 8 steps. Is the old man here? Feng Jixia asked with a slanted gaze. The old man also looked bewildered. Are you? Xiaoxia, who had a bad expression on his face, spoke up and said, where are you walking your dog legs? If you don't sleep at night, Auntie didn't call you, why don't you go home and go to the con? Young man, are there any misunderstandings between us? Did you mistake the person? The old man became depressed. Remembering past life, unpleasant. Brother Feng, stop talking nonsense, it's you. Who are you, Laozi? The old man was also confused and said, are you sick? Do I know you? Look at yourself, you're quite sick, right? Yes, said the mentally ill man, affirming his spirit. The old man was afraid that he would mislead others, so he spoke up and advised, my child, listen to the old man's advice. It's not scary to be sick, but whoever gets sick is scary. But if you try to show off your illness, it's just that you're not right. Feng Jixia said, stop talking nonsense. Today, what can you do? Give me a try, I won't kill you. Give it a try. Give it a try, it's just passing away. I understand. Look at your condition, are you here to carry the burden? Let's talk first, there's no money. The old man sat on guard and wanted to take a detour. Run. Short legs, you run a fart. Come here, you. Fong flawlessly played to his advantage, shameless. The old man retreated. I got it, but I'm unlucky. I really don't have any money. Sigh, I only have one book for you. Tao Te Ching. What do I need this thing for? Stop talking nonsense and leave behind to buy road wealth. Finally, today I have avenged myself, Fong thought to himself. Leave the book, the old man turns his head and runs away. Fong knew that Xia wanted to pursue her, but her body did not allow it. Looking at the moral scripture in my hand, the suggested retail price is 37.5 yuan, which feels strange. Fong patted his forehead and said, no, he's still my father. The price of youth. This old guy. Your grandfather, or your grandfather. Little brother Jiqiu came and said, brother, why are you running around? The doctor said to let you rest for a few days and be hospitalized. The house has been taken care of, so don't worry about the money. Fong Jixia faced Jiqiu and said, little brother, I know about my health. Don't worry. Money, you take care of it. Take care of your family in the future. Previous life. I didn't choose treatment, I chose to end it. In this life, once again, I feel 1,000 different feelings in my heart, wanting to say something. But I don't know where to start, but I feel heartbroken. I can't die now, I'll die later. Fong Jixia returned home, 200 or 300 meters away, and was helped by his younger brother for a quarter of an hour. It can only be said that the power of hatred is really great. 3 men, 1 woman and 4 Laotai visited me just after a break. He didn't have many friends in his lifetime, and to this day, even a few friends have not left him. Knowing that he was not doing well, he treated his guests to meals and always took the initiative to pay. Take care of him as much as possible, his pitiful self-esteem. Brother Jixia also felt uncomfortable, so he deliberately distanced himself from them. Police officer Lin Yiren asked coldly, are you still alive or not dead? Tigress, let's change our temper. You have no friends like me. Fong Jixia smiled bitterly. Brother, don't think about anything. Just stay in the hospital and I'll get in touch with you. If there's anything missing, I'll let you know. I've also taken care of your medical insurance. You've been severing ties for several years. The good policies given by the ancient country, you don't take them to heart. Wu Tao, the head of the government affairs department, said warmly, putting down the gift box in his hand. Lu Gang, a worker at the power company, said with concern, yes, brother. It's been a long time since I last contacted you. I saw you today, how did it end up like this? Brother, please stay in the hospital, recover, and sit down well. Opening a barbecue restaurant, boss Lu Jun angrily cursed, you deserve it. Back then, when we were pulling you forward, you had a falling out with us. Now you still have to wipe your butt with your parents, something. When I see you, I get upset. Maybe it's just a few brothers pulling me over. See you again next time, it's time to go to the grave and burn newspapers. Heartless, you've all gone to the grave. Surprisingly, burning newspapers for this summer. Fong Jixia was speechless, Alright, stop BB. What are you talking about in ancient times? Tell him what he loves to hear, don't add to his burden. Lin Yiren interrupted coldly. Fong Jixia quickly replied, I have nothing to repay, I promise you with my life. Big brother, repaying kindness is not revenge, Officer Lin replied. This day, I can't talk anymore. Did she say I'm ugly? Fong Jixia asked the 3 brothers. 3 people gave affirmation, seems like, probably, maybe, definitely, yes. Fong knew that Xia wanted to drive people away, so he said, why don't you guys just eat before leaving? 4 people rolled their eyes together. LV Gang said, I know you now, and I don't want anyone to see you, which is unsightly. But you know, in our hearts, you are special, so there's no need to hide anything. You always feel what I haven't said. Fang Jixia smiled bitterly, admiring her words. Alright, let's get through this hurdle for now. Let's take our time and take care of ourselves. Let's shake off a few brothers first. Wu Tao stood up and took the lead in saying goodbye to his uncle and aunt. When you're okay, I have something to say to you, said Lin Yiren, who fell behind a few people this moment, tossing and turning, making it difficult to fall asleep. I didn't fall asleep until dawn. Maybe I should give it a try. Chapter 2. The Happiness of Ignorance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Happiness of Ignorance. There is no symbiosis between existence and non-existence. Single phase, one body with two sides. Ignorance is natural, and ignorance brings happiness. A few days later, Fang Jixia was finally admitted to the hospital. With the help of his friends, everything went smoothly, and his younger brother Jiqiu took on the responsibility of taking care of him. First treat the sore, then treat the edema. Heart failure caused by hyperthyroidism. Heart failure induces pericardial fluid, leading to liver and ascites, followed by swelling in the limbs, toxic sores all over the body, spleen and stomach compression imbalance, breathing difficulties, and difficulty eating. The only thing that made Fang realize Xia didn't have face was the nurse, who always took off her underwear. Due to swelling in the limbs, it is not advisable to lie on one side for a long time, otherwise the skin will break and rot. They will come to check from time to time and promptly apply medication for treatment. Every time, Fang Jixia desperately resists, whispers and gives face, and I come by myself. But the nurses didn't pay any attention at all. I keep asking questions and thoroughly researching my own information. Are you married or not? Isn't it obvious? Murder kills the heart, you are. After coaxing and deceiving, it's finally over. The one who treats toxic sores is an old Chinese medicine practitioner. He disagrees with the Western medicine treatment method. It is recommended to use garlic juice to apply an appropriate bloodletting for treatment, which is economically applicable. In the later stage, there is no need to bother cleaning up the drugs and toxins, just drink some appropriately, such as mung bean soup, wild tea, and brewed clear tea. Spiritual little brother, now I'm really in high spirits. I'm crying in pain and calling out to my mom. Little brother Jiqiu is embarrassed and at a loss. Surrounding wards, patients, and family members all came to watch the excitement. Fang Jixia, I really want to say, what are you looking at? But there are too many people. Sure enough, happiness is built on the pain of others. After a period of time, the pain temporarily passed and all the toxic sores subsided. I weighed over 90 pounds, which is the weight that women dream of maintaining. Unfortunately, Xia is a male compatriot. He was already overweight and unable to walk, and most people who were unaware looked at him with respect. What are you looking at? I haven't seen it before. Is the man pregnant? The teacher has never taught you, is it disrespectful? On the wall next to the ultrasound room, there is a pregnant woman's special examination sticker. This TMD. As long as I'm not embarrassed, it's all those pregnant women. I can only comfort myself in a wheelchair like this. High protein nutrient solution, 400 yuan per bottle, 2 bottles per day. Diuretics can't be administered, it's all bones, and the nurse is afraid of getting an injection, so she pokes him dead and there's no meat on his buttocks. Can only receive infusion, keep 2 needles on both arms for a long time, and use for infusion. It looks crazy, it's really crazy. Diuretics, take them, and record your urine output every day. The heart monitor was used, only then did Xia suspect life. When he woke up, it was 140 per minute. I only resumed normal beating after sleeping, every 60 to 70 beats. What exactly is atrial fibrillation? So far, I haven't figured it out. She is already thin, and the nurses come every few days for blood tests. For the first time, only 10 tubes are needed, and for the rest, every few days, 3 tubes are needed. Who can handle this? Only then did Xia Lao feel that they were committing a crime. Every morning, the department head and attending physician come for consultation, and the nurses treat him very well. The roommate complained multiple times and treated him differently. There is someone above us. During this period, 4 friends came to report from time to time, and their mouths were all crooked with joy. However, Lin Yiren has become much gentler these days. Finally, we can drain the water. But a new question arises, is it puncture or installation of a catheter? My roommate, the big brother of the first bed, and's pipe scared Fang Zhixia and he put 2,500 milliliters in a day. Seeing him every day is like seeing oneself a few days later. Feeling anxious and anxious, my mentality collapsed. Dr. Liang Qian saved Mr. Fang's heart by puncturing and releasing water. Winner winner chicken dinner, Dr. Liang, let's start. Fang Zhixia didn't know how to feel. I always feel like I'm going to the execution ground. It's okay, don't be afraid. Apply anesthesia and it won't hurt at all, Dr. Liang comforted. Let's go. It was too sudden. It hurts, isn't it just a trick? You have come for revenge, or for revenge. Fortunately, the anesthetic has finally taken effect and the pain has subsided. You said that if you don't check it carefully, the expiration date will expire. Do you know? Fang Zhixia, harboring malicious speculation. At the same time, Dr. Liang's stomach-piercing action reminded him of how his grandmother's 1,000-layer sole shoes were refined. The urine flowed intermittently, filling the entire basin. Take a measurement of 6,000 milliliters, and finally the stomach has settled down. It's just the abdomen and lower back, empty and empty. Take a look, it's good to be your own flesh and blood. It's really disgusting. Looking at it again, it's still so disgusting. I'm not looking anymore, I'm going to vomit. Alright, that's it for now. The rest, let's arrange it next time, Dr. Liang Qian said softly. Fang Zhixia suggested, actually, I can do it. How about continuing? Dr. Liang had a good temper and patiently said, just follow the doctor's advice. Whether it's appropriate or not, let a professional handle it. The next day, Brother Zhixia was finally able to leave. Although I still can't straighten my waist. Fang Zhiqiu supported him and went downstairs to eat. Downstairs, a head nurse asked, who made you move around? Go back and lie down. I don't know what your condition is. I just finished the puncture, didn't I? I feel much better now, so I'll take a walk. Exercise my body, eat while walking, just a few steps. I think I'm okay, right, said Xia, feeling confused. You go back to rest, what do you want to eat? Let your little brother buy it for you. Your current task is to rest, even if you come out to bask in the sun, you also need to use a wheelchair. The head nurse furrowed her brows. Only then did they know that Xia had retreated and was taken back to the hospital bed by the head nurse. Lying in bed, pretending to be an old man. If you want to pee again, sprinkle it in the urinal first, then pour it into a cup with a measuring unit and record it. And then clean it up. How does it count to pee on your hands? MD, it doesn't count. I didn't see it. Wash it clean. Okay, just wash it again and the skin will peel off. 5,000 milliliters, 10 bottles of mineral water in one morning, went out. Waiting left and right, for days have passed, and the long-awaited Dr. Liang has finally arrived. Release 5,500 milliliters of ascites again. My belly is not big anymore, my legs and feet are not swollen, and my arms and body are no longer deeply pitted. Only then can Xia Xian know that I am alive. The days of hospitalization are always so boring. Fortunately, with my younger brother's companionship and the care of my friends, Fang realized that Xia was not so lonely. I'm about to be discharged, I don't know how to face family, friends, and myself. Chapter 3. The Metamorphosis of Tao Te Ching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Metamorphosis of Tao Te Ching. Mysterious and mysterious, the gateway to all wonders. The realization of the heart is where the Tao lies. Facing an empty room alone, most people cannot accept it. The commonality of social animals is to have popularity. Finally, they sat together again and the five of them gathered together. Be open and frank, speak freely. Due to illness, it is known that one cannot drink alcohol, smoke, or eat fat in summer. But he still chose the same thing, smoking. With a tone of blame, Wu Tao spoke up and said, "Brother, you can't continue like this anymore. People are going to be abandoned, take care of them for a while, and do what you can. You need money, brothers. I'll buy you an electric tricycle, and you can deliver it first. If you're not feeling well, do less first. Don't deceive and play like this, then it's really over." Lu Gang took over the conversation and said, "Yes, I know Xia. When you grow up, you have to grow. You keep holding on to the past, it's really not good. Everyone hopes for a carefree life, but reality will force you to face everything." Boss Lu also spoke up, "Why don't you go to my store to help first? Do as much as you want, it's up to you. If you're tired, go home. I'll have a lot of money for you." Feng Jixia looked at Lin Yiren. "What are you looking at me for? Can you be an auxiliary police officer?" Lin Yiren said coldly. Feng Xiaoge Yuyu replied, "I am waiting for a beautiful woman to express my opinion. After all, patience is the key to life." Lin Yiren gave advice, "My suggestion is that you should recover for a period of time. The doctor's advice is also that you should not do endurance exercise now." Feng Jixia said, "I need to think it over. I happen to have time." "Sure, contact me promptly if you have any questions. Don't face it alone. Depression is not just for fun," LV Gang said with concern. "Me? Depression? Just kidding, when have you seen me? Have you ever been depressed?" "Joke, never depressed this summer." Wu Tao said, "That's best. When you were in school, you were the smartest, and we all envied you. But most smart people are also the most arrogant, always wanting to take shortcuts. But smart people also have terrible commonalities. Once they wake up, they will progress faster than anyone else. We hope you also have this commonality." Feng Jixia self-mocked and retorted, "Smart? Getting a college entrance exam. What about parody? Brother, you praised the wrong person. Are you so smart? You're so twisted, who are you blaming? Your grandson gave you face," Lu Jun said angrily. LV Gang continued, "There's no need to argue. It's not a matter of education, but of attitude. It's up to you. Whether you're intentional or not, everything you do is nonsense. What do you say, I'm a junior high school graduate?" Feng Jixia retorted, "Aren't you, have you been studying? The key is, do you want to change?" Lin Yiren forced. "Brother Feng, Okay, there's nothing to say." Finally, it was not allowed until Xia made the payment. Wu Tao stood up to pay the bill, but LV Gang stopped him. It can be said that they parted ways unhappily. After the spring equinox, I took a taxi alone and went home. The car fare was actually paid by LV Gang. They are still taking care of Xia's so-called dignity. In fact, it has already been shattered and cannot be pieced together. At night, when it was slightly cool, I knew summer, but I couldn't sleep anymore. When I turned over, I came across a book. Tao Te Ching. I flipped through it casually, but no matter what, I couldn't see it. Lying in bed playing with your phone and watching videos. Seeing the inexplicable feelings of netizens, their mood finally improved. Suddenly, I came across a video and saw footage of those scammed scam teams, and perpetrators. This TMD is not even easy to find a job, it lacks a sense of security. Is there such an event in this ancient world? But thinking about it, it seems like it's far away from him. Speaking of Quan Yen Huang, the safest one is him. No money, my heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys are all broken. Fraudulent loans are also impossible. Any bank or private lending department that is connected to the internet will not lend to this product, because the borrower must first have a healthy body and no major medical diseases. After nightfall, videos are always mixed with some private goods, all promoting the darkness of humanity. The more I look, the more scared I become. Thinking about my own situation, this TMD is useless. Am I feeling depressed? It is said that patients with depression tend to have wild thoughts. Isn't it this size? Calculating chill. Sleeping, dreaming all night, dreaming of many people before. Many people who have already disappeared. It's already over 10 o'clock when I wake up in the morning. Mom calls Fang Jixia, wake up, younger brother Jiqiu has already gone to work. I don't know what to do until midnight after finishing my meal. Lying in bed, flipping through novels and the world-renowned novel, The Moon and Sixpence. He himself doesn't even know. How could you read such a book? I never used to watch it before, but recently I seem to have fallen in love with it. Sadness is a thing that doesn't know its appearance, but it comes inexplicably and unexpectedly. Being sentimental, this TMD is depression. Some people say that when you are depressed, it's just idle. Just move around and make yourself tired. The key now is that we can't move. Simple, brainstorm, find a viewpoint, and go crazy to refute it. Then, as a square madness, crazily prove it. My brain is going to explode, play with my phone for a while longer. Telepathy refers to Ao Island, where a young lady often travels at night and suddenly takes a detour one night to avoid death. There is also an inland area where a little sister lives alone. One day, she suddenly felt a sudden sensation and invited guests to dinner. When she came downstairs to welcome guests, she heard a man muttering, "It shouldn't be, isn't it living alone? This is scary." Fang Jixia sighed deeply. Tao Te Ching, why did it come out again? What's the point of constantly shaking around? In the evening, Lin Yiren visited. Don't you have something to say to me? I'm discharged now, Fang Jixia said. What do you think, just swaying like this? Lin Yiren asked. I didn't hinder anyone, right? I didn't harm anyone, right? Fang Jixia whispered softly. Lin Yiren said in a resentful voice, you deserve to die. If you live, it's a waste. If it's not for your family, think about it. Fang Jixia replied, what I want to persist in, what I want to keep, what I cherish, and what I want to desperately preserve, you have to strip it off. What do you want me to do? Only those who have died once know Xia, not without enlightenment, but without anyone to confide in. The kind of person who wants to embrace, but can't even find the one to embrace, and in the end, can only embrace death. I don't want to implicate anyone. I don't want to disturb everything in the world. I just want to leave silently. The feeling of leaving has been brought from the previous life, at this moment. Yes, he is depressed and extremely certain. Lin Yiren spoke softly, you never said anything. I don't want to disturb anyone, Fang Jixia whispered softly. But people have to face reality, Lin Yiren said. Give me a hug, Fang Jixia said. Lin Yiren angrily said, get out. Take advantage of me, haven't you ever died? But he embraced it, only then did he know Xia. Thank you, thank you. Just to know Xia's heart, keep talking. For a long time, Lin Yiren said, you go see a psychologist. Lecherous. Do you want to see a psychologist? It's not professional, right? Fang Jixia said, adjusting the atmosphere. The phone rang, and Lin Yiren answered the call before turning and leaving. She could feel that women are really strange creatures. Just like in his past life, when he committed suicide for the first time, the door opened and his mother came in, talking to him for a while. Feng Jixia picked up the simple edition of the Tao Te Ching, which cost 37.5 yuan. First time, read carefully. Two worlds, like dreams and illusions, seem to have merged with the ancient yellow of this life. Only this time did we know that Xia is no longer isolated from the world. Choose to continue walking. Chapter 4. The Terrifying Ignorance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The terrifying ignorance. Because of ignorance, obtaining temporary happiness, then what you are about to face is the terrifying ignorance. After discharge, most of the time, I was alone, silently staying. Looking through Laozi's 5,000 words, Xia hopes to gain some inspiration from it. Finding a way to help oneself, solve the current predicament, and feeling even more restless and uneasy because I cannot understand its meaning. I have to recall some things that happened before, and with a sudden thought, I cursed myself. It was like a fool. Being late-witted and making oneself feel scared. During the hospitalization, all the things that happened were replayed in my heart time and time again. Originally, silently, I walked around the edge of death. Crazy death, I was unaware of it. After the cure of the toxic sore, it was discovered that Xia weighed over 90 pounds. He had 2 rounds of ascites discharge, with 11,500 milliliters, which is 23 bottles of 500 milliliters of mineral water. Subtract 23 from 90, then subtract taking medication, drain 10 pounds, and replenish water by oneself every day, which is a quantitative measure, and infusion is also a quantitative measure. A 1.78 meter adult weighs less than 60 pounds. He felt numb on his own and his back was cold. No wonder doctors and nurses are so kind to him, asking questions and compiling information about him. They were afraid of him and died in the hospital bed, so they prepared in advance. Ignorance, there is indeed happiness in ignorance. Due to ignorance, he had no burden and passed through death. But ignorance can also be terrifying, because the ignorant are fearless. All words and actions indicate everything. He has never, however, observed the true meaning behind these actions. Suddenly realizing that the world has changed, mountains are not mountains, water is not water. The appearance of everything, what they display, and their essence are two different things. Whether there is or not instantly changes one's status. Through what is known, break through what is unknown. By comprehending the essence, one naturally reaches the realm of whether to see the mountains or the waters. So, how to break through appearances and listen to the essence of people, things, and things. Need to put your heart into it. Those with good intentions are invincible, while those with good intentions are terrifying. Everything seems to have words, they don't speak, but they keep talking. Only the past knows Xia, and has never observed these things. Mountains speak, water speaks. So how do we master this ability and proficiently apply it? Feng Jixia put her heart into thinking and summarizing these things. In life, people, things, and emotions may or may not have sound. However, when you realize some truths and constantly interpret them by your side, it's like someone stealing your insights and thoughts. What was previously unnoticed was that all things and everything were silent. But they keep talking and staging. It's just that we don't understand. Perhaps it should be said that we have never observed. Based on this, everything changed when we went to observe mountains, water, people, council members, and enlightenment. Everything around him is no longer silent, everything is being explained to him. Continue brainstorming, deepen understanding, radiate thinking, and draw analogies. Zhang Feng was sheathed, and after 10 years of practicing swordsmanship, his swordsmanship was completed. Sword is a dead object, how to comprehend sword. In the army, the god of firearms speaks with spirit. What is the basis for it, and to declare death as life? The path of constant travel, why do we act differently today and avoid the calamity of death? Never giving kindness, helping it casually, but eventually making a living. Did you accidentally understand some language? Is this just a skill? Listening with the heart, understanding with the heart, being able to read and understand, and speaking out from the surrounding things is an ability. What are we doing if we control this ability, as well as the several skills it emits? Are we still considered human? To be verified, according to the Tao Te Ching, the difficulty of mastering this ability lies in the emptiness of one's mind, the quenching of one's thoughts, and the purity of one's intention. Listen with your heart, understand, and cannot be forced. Pay attention to being spontaneous, and thought-provoking. However, attention itself is a force. How can we control it? Only do it. The word degree is very interesting. It is a polyphonic character that allows one to speculate and think. Adding water to cross it makes one feel like a sea of suffering, and one can only measure it. Those who seek truth are naturally talented. Due to limitations, everyone understands differences. Mastering this ability requires varying levels of dedication. So what can't be popularized, understood, or expressed? So, the first realm, seeing mountains as mountains and seeing water as water, isn't that important. No, the realization of the heart, the manifestation of the phase, the lack of realization of the heart, and the confusion of the phase. Recalling oneself, what we did before, is really ridiculous, losing our true intention. Nature means the heart has nothing to do. Feng Jixia is working hard and integrating. The old man walked in and asked him to help with his smartphone. Feng Jixia was interrupted, furious, and then tried to restrain himself. The hatred of obstructing the path, with 4 words rising in my heart, but I still held back my temper. Because he cares about the old man and calls him dad. Get up and go out to buy a pack of cigarettes. I feel dizzy and bloated, just want to vomit, my heart throbbing, only feeling scared. Thinking about it now, I really appreciate my dad. Ignoring the pros and cons, easily comprehending and using this kind of thing. In Western medicine, too many brain cells die. In traditional Chinese medicine, heart failure leads to mental exhaustion. Metaphysics teaches about backlash. It's really going to kill people. Chapter 5. Ability to read things. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Ability to read things. Therefore, there is often no such thing as wanting to observe its beauty. Yes, I want to observe its payment. Walking on the highway. Feng Jixia tries her best to relax her mindset and stop thinking in her mind. Close your eyes, extend your right hand, and walk along the edge of the wall. To prevent myself from losing my sense of direction and causing accidents. Suddenly, open your eyes. Let's put it aside before we know that Xia won't care about these details. And now he looks carefully with his heart and eyes. From across the street, a car has arrived, it's nothing. But across from the wall is a ditch. Above the ditch is a garage, and on the ditch, there is a bridge made of cement. There is also a car that overturns and forces the oncoming car to stop. Standing straight against the wall, the car owner's attention was completely drawn to the oncoming car on his right. Feng Jixia was stunned and looked at the car reversing 2 meters away, speechless for half a day. Perhaps it was just an accident. This cannot prove anything. Walking on the road itself should not close your eyes. It must have been an accident. He cannot believe in his living environment, knowledge, and values. But he hesitated, he doubted, didn't he? Returning home, pick up the Tao Te Ching again. Emitting an infinite sense, the book seems to keep saying that it is very important, it is particularly important. Forget it, there's nothing to do anyway. The content of the Tao Te Ching differs greatly between the past and present worlds. Some people say it has been modified. So, was it easier to understand or was it edited? If it is edited and modified. So you can keep it a secret, is there anyone with a heart? Just like before, when reading a sentence from a novel, there is no need to resurrect my ancestors. Give me time, I will surpass them. If someone guides, he will be faster. If no one guides, as long as you get started. He will also rise up like a comet, straight into the heavenly gate. So, what is the significance of editing? Moreover, Feng Zhixia didn't really like it. When he went to read those annotations, he only needed to closely grasp whether there was any interdependence, and he had already solved most of the Tao Te Ching. And when combined with context, they can all be addressed. The punctuation and meaning are vastly different from the annotations in the book. From childhood to adulthood, he never took a book so seriously. It's filled with his own interpretation annotations. Perhaps this is a strange book that can change his own destiny. From the perspective of governing council members alone, many people's annotations are mixed with private goods. But from the perspectives of enlightenment, and understanding, there is no one who is dark about human nature. Even from it, I have come to understand many similar skills. He seemed to accidentally push open a door, and the world behind it was shrouded in mist. 1 foot has already stepped over. But no matter what, it can't fall to the ground. It's urgent and cannot be obtained. This is the most uncomfortable thing. Many verifications are needed, and the only way to verify the unknown is through existing known knowledge. Cruelly piling up one's own pedestal, absolutely cannot let oneself find the path to become an inverted pyramid. He is not deliberately pursuing it. On the first day, 1 o'clock. Based on this, the second day is 2 o'clock, and the third day is 4 o'clock. He believes that sooner or later, he can light up his own sky. That was him, the time of transformation. The application of the heart is becoming more and more proficient. Previously, he was at a loss for things. Until now, it has been very handy. Previously, things that were difficult to comprehend can now be seen through at a glance. Listening to words in front of others instantly comprehends their true meaning, just looking at the cause can lead to results, and vice versa. In the past, observing, listening, thinking, feeling, acting, and speaking were just simple, but now we need to add our hearts. If it is really unbearable, he prefers to avoid it, express himself intuitively, listen attentively, and comprehend with his heart. On this day, LV Ganglin followed people and came to see Feng Zhixia. As soon as they entered the door, they were stunned. Lu Gang asked, "Big brother, what have you experienced during this period of time? Why, so much white hair?" "It's nothing, I just figured it out, some things. After passing my own, I'm asking for help." Feng Zhixia's spirit improved a lot. Lin Yiren looked at him with concern and said, "It's much happier than before. It seems that his mental illness has improved. What are you guys doing here? They can't be here specifically to see me, right? Those 2 nicknames. Why are there only you 2? Feng Zhixia asked. "One is the department head, unable to leave the exam. The other is the boss, busy with his hands and feet facing the sky. I just returned from studying. I met him at the door." LV Gang returned. "What do you mean, old man? Not coming for such a long time?" Feng Ji asked Xia Xianglin. Lin Yiren complained, "Don't mention it, there's a telecommunications case. Our director almost drove us crazy, I can't bear it. I came over to see you and took some time off." "It's okay then, isn't it just nagging? I have a Taoist family, and the 8-character truth can relieve your worries." Feng Zhixia comforted her. "Is it really fake?" the 2 of them asked together. "That's still fake, but it's useless. You can only smile on your face and silently recite in your heart. Don't do it, just recite it, otherwise it will cause too much harm." Only then did you know that Xia Lao's hen was saying. Speak up, the 2 of them said urgently. Feng Zhixia smiled and rubbed her fingers, well, if you make a move, you must make a move. If someone else makes 1,000, you two can each make 100. That's enough discount, right? Damn it. Are we still talking about money in this friendship? LV Gang cursed. Lin Yiren stared wide and said, you don't want to deceive people, do you? Talking about emotions hurts money. It doesn't work, double the refund, said Fang Zhixia. Hurry up and transfer the money. The two of them twisted and spun for 200 yuan. Listen carefully, you can only smile and silently recite in your heart. Otherwise, you will bear all the consequences, Fang Zhixia emphasized again. What nonsense, say it, the two of them shouted together. Fang Zhixia pretended to be profound and said, Taoist, the 8-character scripture is presented. If you don't listen, Wang Ba recites the scriptures. Sun Tzu, refund, both of them cursed. Fang Zhixia retorted, just say, are you spiritual or not? Using you to teach. It's obvious to you, Lin Yiren revealed her tiger teeth, trying to bite someone. Fang Xiaoge played a prank and said, Ling is fine. The goods have been sold, they are genuine and valid, and there will be no refund. Lu Gang sneered, brother, after resting for half a year, you have evolved. You are now, you really understand and shameless. I admire you. What's wrong with being shameless? I'm not proud, right? Fang Zhixia returned. I know you are very humble, you can still make progress, keep working hard, LV Gang continued as he continued. Lin Yiren looked down upon him and mocked, just one shameless person. What progress is there in this? I'm going to criticize you, at least it's an honor. The police should have a sense of honor, said Fang Zhixia. Lin Yiren was angry and shouted, get out. A serious person, who is shameless should be honored. Fang Zhixia refuted her and said, you're not right. When negotiating between the two countries, whether or not you should be shameless, you won't be shameless. As long as you serve the interests of the country, even if your position is significant, you will receive a medal. Write a letter stating that you truly understand whether or not you are shameless, and the people of the whole country will cheer for you. After listening, the two of them looked shocked. Brother. Dear brother. Your brain circuit, this pattern. The first time I felt ashamed, is it so tall and stylish? What have you experienced in the past 6 months? Both of them asked at the same time. Fang Zhixia tilted his face at a 45-degree angle and lifted it slightly upwards, pretending to say, an extremely painful experience. Lin Yiren couldn't bear to watch anymore, so he said, so summarize it. 2 words, dysmenorrhea. Right. Fang Zhixia was furious and spoke to LV Gang, brother, do me a favor and cross her out. LV Gang smiled and lay on the bed, quickly waving his hand. Happy times are always brief. Lin Yiren explained his purpose and found him a job as an auxiliary police officer, asking him to prepare the necessary documents and start working. Chapter 6. Initial application of abilities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Initial application of abilities. In this world, everything is beautiful. It's all about experiencing hardships before finally presenting. In autumn, the leaves gradually turn yellow, and finally it's the season for harvesting. Blue Star Yanhuang Ancient Kingdom has issued the latest regulations to address the impact of frequent and explosive cases of abuse of force. Make the following adjustments. Citizens who report to the police after a conflict must find the right law enforcement entry point. It is not allowed to use the order of action as the law enforcement point, otherwise it will be considered as mutual assault between the two sides. It can be seen that the ancient country put in a lot of effort, and in the future, only knowing and abiding by the law is not enough. It is also necessary to truly learn how to use flexibly and use force. The rulers of ancient countries, with good intentions, were constantly pressuring citizens to remain calm and learn how to use force, and not to impulsively abuse violence. After all, it is not uncommon to see those blatant incidents where, despite being a victim and not knowing how to use them, they lost the lawsuit and, out of control, even reached out their butcher's knife to law enforcement officers. Those with ulterior motives, surprisingly, are crazily following the rhythm online and have received quite a few likes. How pitiful they are. Law is not someone's exclusive possession. The original intention of the law is to protect goodness. However, the bad guys use it more proficiently than us. So it is necessary to improve this situation and encourage citizens of ancient countries to change their mindset. As long as the other party violates the law first, any action you take is to stop the other party from committing a crime and act reasonably. But pay attention and find the right enforcement points. Feng Zhixia ultimately decided not to become an auxiliary police officer, thus offending Miss Lin. A few times we met, the little white eyes rolled over, and Feng felt that she was about to pull them away. Feeling guilty, like a dog's leg, accompanied by a smiling face, after the dinner party, I climbed into Lin Yiren's car and wanted to explain and have a good time with her. Lin Yiren responded coldly, "Go down. Who let you up?" Feng Zhixia shamelessly said, "Listen to me and explain to you, okay?" Don't listen, Wang Ba recites the scriptures, Lin Yiren sang, a Taoist 8-character mantra. "Enire, what are you doing?" Feng Zhixia said in a Nanha dialect, instantly causing Lin Yiren to defeat her. Miss Lin cursed, "Feng Zhixia, you are such a jerk." Feng Zhixia explained, "Actually, I didn't reject your kindness just because of some kind of false move, such as losing face. It's mainly not suitable. If it doesn't work, I want to send the package first, which will provide me with a source of money to support myself. After all, I have a lot of medicine to eat, and at the same time, I will pay attention to what is suitable for my job." Lin Yiren also agrees, "Indeed, the job that suits you is clerical work or light physical labor. Your body determines the nature of the job." Feng Zhixia supported, "Yes, the body is the capital of revolution. It seems that I don't have many choices. Let's walk and see. This girl is finally doing well, and I'm sorry for betraying her kindness." After the conversation ended, the two drove to Mr. Lu's barbecue restaurant. Because Mr. Fong has never been here before. Mainly because in the past, I didn't get along well. I'm afraid of others and gossip when I come, but now it doesn't matter anymore. The thickness of my face has increased. "Brother, Yiren. How come you two have time to come over?" Lu Jun asked. Lin Yiren replied to him, "I don't know Xia, I've never been to your place before. Come and recognize the door." Feng Zhixia also spoke up, "Yes. Brother, why are you making such a fuss? Hey, don't mention it. The next door won't work anymore. I just brought over the shop and wanted to expand the storefront," said Mr. Lu with a cheerful expression on his face. Lin Yiren asked him, "What's wrong with all the chicken feathers on the ground?" "I don't understand either. It's just fine, and the wine bottles are also neatly arranged. Maybe the waiter accidentally knocked them over," Lu Jun said to Lin Yiren, unsure. Feng Zhixia didn't speak, just felt inexplicably uncomfortable. Let him be a little anxious, and carefully observe the lobby environment. Close your eyes and feel for a while. What are these two potted plants? The tree of wealth, doing business, and emphasizing the importance of taking good care of oneself, should be placed there, Lu Jun replied. Feng Zhixia organized the conversation. Just spoke up, when drawing, we should pay attention to leaving space and the layout of the environment. It is also important to leave enough space. Otherwise, there will be no contrast and disharmony. Over-applying and occupying space can make people feel suppressed, anxious, and chaotic. Making mistakes is inevitable. Boss Lu quickly said, "So, should I clear out? Then, can I withdraw some tables and chairs?" Upon hearing this, Xia Wen had a black line in his mind and said angrily, "When you draw at home, just put a small corner on paper. You can't overdo anything. Subsequently, with the help of Fang Jixia, he worked tirelessly for an hour. After finishing the task, everyone felt no sense of oppression in their hearts and started to work in an orderly manner. Just then, Xia Xinyan moved and asked an extra question. Did you make the layout of your barbecue restaurant yourself, or did someone design it? Did you put those 2 potted plants casually, or did someone else suggest it? Lin Yiren pondered. Ji Xia, what do you mean? Don't misunderstand, just ask casually. Fang Jixia looked at Lu Jun and returned to Lin Yiren. Mr. Lu replied to him, I made the layout myself. The potted plants were given by Mr. Zhang from across the street, and he suggested that I put them in the lobby for import to welcome guests and attract wealth. Fang Jixia reminded him, alright, just know for yourself, keep an eye out for it. Lin Yiren was not convinced and said, but I've seen many big restaurants and hotels decorated like this. Fang Jixia asked her in reverse, will that make you feel embarrassed, nervous, and depressed? Anyway, I was nervous the first time I went, Lin Yiren retorted. Fang Jixia doesn't want to let her down in this aspect. You also said that for the first time, if it's the same feeling repeatedly, then the problem is huge. We can only distinguish whether the problem is with you or the other party. Aren't you here for the first time today? Lin Yiren muttered. It's not the first time, it's the second time. I haven't offended Mr. Zhang, Lu Jun said. Fang Jixia whispered softly and patiently explained, I kill you. What does it have to do with you? There are some things you can choose from, you don't need them for a lifetime. But you need to understand them, otherwise how to prevent them, let alone protect yourself. Master Fang, do you still understand feng shui? Lin Yiren asked in surprise. Fang Jixia replied to her lightly, I don't understand, but I do. Yan Huang traditional Chinese painting. Also, I'm not a god. Besides, I just explained that I wasn't scientific. This is actually a comprehensive application of architectural layout and psychological suggestion. There really is, Feng Shui said. Press down on the confusion in your heart and then say, anyway, you should pay more attention. It's not harmful. When choosing kindness, you also need to understand evil, let kindness grow thorns and rebound. The damage that evil receives depends on the strength of its attack on kindness. Otherwise, your kindness, although pure and clear, is also foolish. Complete the task. As they walked out of the barbecue restaurant, Xia and Lin Yiren sat in the car, chatting incessantly. You are really impressive to me. It's been a long time since I last saw you, it's not Wu Xiaomon anymore, Lin Yiren said with a flickering gaze. Only then did he know that Xia had a hint and began to joke, are you shocked? Fang Jixia, speak well and be careful not to accuse you of sexual harassment. Lin Yiren warned. Fang explained, I mean, I was scared. You're really dirty and dark in your heart. Are you clear in your heart? Lin Yiren returned. Fang Jixia said calmly, you say, autumn wind and fallen leaves, people appreciate these things. A dog, on the other hand, thinks that defecation in a corner is the most beautiful. People see the scenery, while dogs see feces. Different angles and species are different, that's all. Looking at the person with a black face, Lin Yiren. Just talk, why grind your teeth? Fang Jixia said with a pun. The car came to a stop, only to know that Xia's screams were heard. This tiger girl really bites people. Chapter 7. Church Disciples Starving to Death Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Church Disciples Starving to Death Master skill is close to the Tao. Enlightenment cultivates the mind. If the mind is not born, rest. People live in this world, and often, due to helplessness, they will engage in behaviors that others cannot understand. Those who study hard at home only know Xia, and welcome LV Gang's visit. Welcome, the high-ranking officials are here. Fang Jixia warmly welcomed the guests. Wang Ganyang, I'm here too. LV Gang also entered the play. What? Think about it, how did you administer medicine to the section chief of Wuhan University? Fang Jixia joked. Your sister. I'm crazy. In a society ruled by law, do this job. I have something to do with you. Lu Gang roast. What's going on? Let's talk about it first. If I know how to do it, I won't do it. If I know how to do it, I won't do it at all, the young man replied. So, what am I looking for you for? Asked the bewildered LV Gang. You ask me, you have something to do with me, you ask me, why are you looking for me? A mental hospital, you have an appointment. Fang, rolling his eyes, struck a fatal blow. To be honest. I really need to talk to you. Don't you know how to watch feng shui? As an apprentice, something happened at home and I was in a daze. I had to repair the circuit and almost had an accident. Could you please help me? Let me take a look. LV Gang quickly expressed his intention to save himself from being taken into the ditch by this grandson. Who did you hear that? Isn't this a false accusation? Fang quickly denied that he didn't want to be a god. LV Gang explained, Lin Yiren, a beautiful police officer, strongly recommends it, and Mr. Lu has also confirmed it. Nonsense, what kind of person am I after such a long time, don't you know? Fang Jixia said urgently. LV Gang suggested, let's go take a look first. If it doesn't work out, let's just forget it. No one says it, you must be able to do it. Without saying a word, he pulled up Fang Jixia and drove towards his destination. Sunshine Community, commonly known as a community in most ancient countries. Entering the community, the two strolled towards a residential building. This building, room 302, LV Gang introduced. Oh, one floor with two households, it's still a big dog business, sighed Fang Jixia. Drive up the stairs and reach the third floor. At the entrance of 302, there was a cardboard box, sniffing carefully. There was a smell of gypsum powder, and the marble floor was shiny. Ring the doorbell, the door opens for a moment, and a pale woman greets her into the room. Gongzi has arrived. Who is this young man? Asked an older brother. Oh, my friend Fang Jixia, we're not passing by. Let's come up and take a look together. Jixia, this is my disciple's father, Zhang Kun. Where's Xiaoyi? LV Gang quickly explained and introduced each other. Zhang Dui, your master is looking for you, come out, Zhang's father shouted loudly. It can be seen that Zhang's father has such a strong personality. Here we go. After a response, a young man walked out of the side room. Master, you're here. Zhang said to Master. LV Gang nodded and asked him, come and see you, how are you? Are you feeling better? Zhang Wei replied once, Grandma fell and mother was also sick. I've been in a bad mood these days, causing trouble for you and making you worry. Who is this? LV Gang introduced, my good friend, only then did I know Xia. Just call me Xiao Xia, Fang Jixia smiled and said. Zhang Wudao quickly spoke up and said, hello Xiaoxia, welcome to visit. You are a good friend of Master, and we will keep in touch in the future. Please leave a phone number later. Dad, Master has something to talk to me about, so we can discuss it in our room. The three of them entered the room, and Zhang Wuwei hurriedly asked, how are you? Xiaoxia, do you have any questions? Fang Jixia organized and said, has your home been renovated? Yeah, Dad said his study wasn't very good, so he renovated it. The door was covered with marble, Zhang said. Fang Jixia asked him again, does your mother have any respiratory diseases? Yes, but I usually pay attention to it. When decorating, I don't stay at home. After finishing my work, I only go home at intervals, Zhang replied. Your grandmother fell not far from the doorstep, right? Fang Jixia asked again. Zhang Weiwei was surprised and asked, Xiao Xia, did the master tell you everything? Fong knew Xia, but ignored him. Then he asked, isn't it good to have a good relationship with the neighbors? Standing beside him, LV Gang looked at his disciple nodding, feeling bewildered. Feng Zhixia sighed before speaking up, go and put the door box in the miscellaneous room. Clean it up properly, remove water and dust. Get along well with your neighbors, and naturally have no illness or disaster. Your family is fine, but if your father's temper is not good, it may not be safe. Turn around and advise your father well. Zhang stood up and replied, I'll go right away. Running back, he said to the two of them, you two sit down first, master. The water is on the cabinet. Feng Zhixia chuckled lightly and said to LV Gang, next time, let Yiren handle this matter. She is professionally matched. LV Gang asked him, it's not my brother, what's going on with you? Upon careful reflection, LV Gang probably had an idea. Let's not pursue this matter anymore. Feng Zhixia shrugged and replied, how can we investigate? I'm curious and opened the box to take a look. I accidentally broke the bag and scattered some of it. When the police arrive, I have to say it's an accident, but I can't bear much responsibility. I won't lose a lot of money. Let's learn a lesson, but fortunately, no one died. That's all for now. Human nature and human nature are indescribable. Personality determines destiny, and that's true. Feng Zhixia changed the topic and said, however, you disciple really need to teach well. You're too impatient. LV Gang also followed him and said, I also want to, why don't you tell me? He's not enlightened and doesn't care. What do you want me to do? In the evening, the three of them ate together. Zhang Weiwei kept asking Feng Zhixia, but it was difficult for Feng Zhixia to answer, so he had to cross the topic and ask his master. Little Xia, my master doesn't teach me anything, he just wants me to calm down. Can you help me talk, said Zhang Weiwei to Feng Zhixia. Lu Gang was present and rose to his face. Feng Zhixia said, teaching disciples, starving master. Haven't you heard of it? Zhang Weiwei was extremely dissatisfied, in this era, you and your master are still holding on to this set of secrets and not letting it go. Feng Zhixia chuckled lightly, do you understand that? Zhang became anxious and said, how should I understand? It's just that. Feng Zhixia glanced at LV Gang. Gestured for him to speak, but LV Gang waved his hand. Feng Zhixia said, it's not the master who doesn't teach you, but he's here, waiting for you to realize, waiting for you to put in your heart. The state of waiting for you to put in your heart, waiting for you to realize, can really starve to death. Of course, those selfish people understand and hide themselves that way. Can you still explain it this way? How can I be considered diligent and enlightened, said Zhang Wei. In an instant Feng Zhixia patiently explained, when you feel like the tools and job content in your hand are starting to speak, that's all. How about the more he teaches you, the faster you die, especially for jobs like yours. Including those jobs that operate machines, they are still fine now, digitized and controlled, but there are also many practical operations that you can use. Those things can serve you, but you need to be able to read and understand them, otherwise. Zhang Weiwei said, are what you're saying true? Why don't I believe it so much? Hiding is hiding, there are so many truths. Feng Zhixia said to LV Gang, so, we can't change anyone. Turning to Zhang Weiwei again, he said, you're right. What you think is what you think. Be more confident, it's just hiding secrets. Zhang Weiwei was right again, and Feng Zhixia said, perhaps what you said is reasonable. Do you feel that there is a future in my field? I feel like it's useless. You need to feel it, that's all. Feng Zhixia replied lightly, wanting to quickly end the conversation. Just replied, with this one sentence. Get up, bid farewell politely, demonstrate his impoliteness, and take a taxi to leave. Chapter 8. The most beautiful life is meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The most beautiful life is meeting. I only wish to miss each other, unwilling to see each other. For the Tao Te Ching, its pronunciation and solution. 1,000 people and 1,000 faces, each person can obtain or confirm from it, some unknown things, people's trajectories or movements. The autumn wind has not yet risen, and the cicada prophet has entered deep autumn. The sound of cicadas chirping can no longer be heard. During this period of time, Xia went crazy and dismantled it. Laozi said 5,000 words. Neither of his parents knows what he's busy with. Fortunately, he is taking good care of his body and becoming more and more disciplined. At the beginning, I couldn't even do a push-up. Now in the morning and evening, there are 300 each, and sit-ups can be done up to 60 in a day. The whole person has undergone a great transformation, unlike before, shaped like withered bones. He was still trying, feeling the cool and harmless substance in the air. Every morning, I stand in the courtyard for a while, calm down, and close my eyes. Listen carefully and try to communicate with the surrounding mountains, rivers, and sky. Previously, Fang Jixia couldn't resist loneliness. But now Fang Jixia has fallen in love with solitude. I prefer this kind of day where mountains speak and water speaks. It's just my mom constantly urging me to get married, which makes Fang Jixia very embarrassed. That day, Fang knew that Xia was reading a book, and 4 old Thais came to visit together. Lin Yi joked, "Oh, the god is working hard. You guys, what does this mean? Is there anything else?" Fang Jixia asked back. Wu Tao explained, "It's not a big deal, it's just about your work. How are you preparing? What are your thoughts? Let's see how many brothers can help." Fang Jixia replied, "I've figured it out. I'm planning to open a smoking hotel. It doesn't require much capital either." Boss Lu cheered, "All right, in the future, I will buy tobacco and alcohol from you at my barbecue restaurant and give you a discount." Tobacco. We have classmates who work in tobacco. Let's look for them and see if they can tilt it within the allowed range. It's not easy to buy cigarettes during the Chinese New Year and holidays, suggested Lin Yiren. Only then did Xia realize that tobacco is not easy to enter. I couldn't help but ask, "Who is that? It's so amazing." "You know, we used to play well together," Fang Lei, Lu Gang replied. Fang Jixia couldn't help but envy. "It seems that this wave of classmates from us is none other than me." Wu Tao continued, "Next week old classmates will have a gathering. Don't forget to come, the place is at Mr. Lu's barbecue restaurant." Lu Gang began to tease him, "Brother, I heard from my uncle and aunt that you've been reading the Tao Te Ching recently. Are you okay? It's said that you've been talking so much lately, don't you? You've been holding back, right? Take it out, don't show off and talk about a girlfriend, okay?" Lin Yiren sneered, "He doesn't need it. His old lover has returned, and it is said that he is still single. He can see him next week." "Who are you talking about? Who is my old lover? How come I don't know?" Fang Jixia looked bewildered. Lin Yiren reminded him, Yo, you forgot about the bet you made with Mr. Lu back then. He lost and couldn't cook his bike, so he didn't eat." Fang Jixia exclaimed in horror, "Gu Jia. She's not. Has she gone abroad to study? That girl, I dare not provoke her. She's too tough. She knows martial arts, don't you know?" Boss Lu gloated and said, "It's okay, brother. I heard she came for you. There's a good show to watch this time." Fang Jixia retorted, "How dare you say it? Honesty. As a person, one should keep one's word. A bicycle has not been eaten until now. After confessing, I found out that she has strong martial arts skills and is ruthless in hitting people. When I think about her fear, I shudder and walk around in front of her mother tiger. It was me who took the initiative to deliver it to her door. You said you were too damaged." Only then did Xia's eyes twirl, and she came to lose her mind. No, I need to find a girlfriend to take precautions. Brothers, it's time to test our friendship. Brothers are like siblings, you understand. The three of them glanced at each other and said in unison, get out. Livestock. Feng Jixia turned her head and said to Lin Yiren, can you help me? Lin Yiren refused, I don't have time. I don't know if I'll go or not. After all, we're not students of the same class, although we all know each other. Feng Jixia made a direct decision, no, it's okay. I don't mind you. That's settled. See you next week. Officer Lin thought to himself, I can't bear it. He's sick and I don't want to see him in the same way. Please bear with the yarn. Endless, no need to endure any more, going up is like a cannon punch. Three brothers are beside, cheering and cheering. A few people fought and frolicked for a while, finally calming down. Are you so afraid of her? Lin Yiren asked. Feng Jixia replied to her, I can't be afraid, mainly, I'm a man. Lin Yiren was puzzled, what does this have to do with men, not men? Men, I can't beat women, I can't accept it, Xia stubbornly replied. Liu Gang empathized and said, brother, you used to get beaten up a lot, right? Didn't you make up your mind and learn the 8 extremes fist for a while? Lin Yiren sneered and said, his 8 extremes fist is not much different from Wang Ba fist. Feng Jixia was furious and said, Lin Yiren. Scholars can be killed, not humiliated. Shame. You want to practice with me? Officer Lin turned his wrist and glanced at him with a sideways glance. Feng Jixia quickly replied, humiliating him, we cannot fight, let alone kill him. Ha ha ha, the four of them laughed together. Mr. Lu continued, even under the bed, I'm afraid. Brothers, harmonious home. Don't continue, Wu Tao interrupted, covering Lu Jun's mouth. Liu Gang retorted, however, I really can't fight, it's the same everywhere. Man humph. Lin Yiren said coldly. LV Gang quickly added, don't look at me. I didn't say anything. That's right. Although we are very lascivious, we are very dedicated. Feng Jixia quickly stated. Yaxi, Feng sang, high opinion. Boss Lu raised his thumb. Wu Tao agreed and said, brother, you are a charming man. You really understand lust, LV Gang also spoke, agreeing. Mr. Feng arched his hand and humbly said, I'm ashamed, I'll laugh at you. Lin Yiren rolled her eyes. After several people left, it was only then that Xia quickly entered a state. This is also a skill he has mastered. Be quiet and reserved, with few selfish desires. As night approached, I realized that Xia was lying in bed, tossing and turning, but couldn't fall asleep. Thinking of all the things before, a sentence suddenly popped up in my heart. In one's life, one will encounter many people, including family, friends, loved ones, good people, bad people, enemies, passers-by, and strangers. Some people will accompany you on a journey, some people will accompany you for the rest of your life, some people just pass by in a hurry and disappear in an instant at the corner of the long street. They are all arranged by heaven, each with a mission, always able to teach you something to some extent. So, the most beautiful thing in life is meeting. Because meeting is also an inevitable fate. Sleeping only then did Xia realize that she had dreamed again, and unexpectedly dreamed of the boss who used to go to high school. I just found out that Xia lost him and couldn't find him. In an urgent moment, I woke up from my dream. Fortunately not, I dreamt of finding a restroom. Standing in front of the windowsill, smoking quietly and blowing the night breeze. No, I should have dreamed of a woman. Dreaming of the boss, although normal. But this doesn't fit my personality, it's too uncomfortable. Forget it, I didn't dream of a woman, and the man made do. Q's spirit will last forever. Perhaps, my heart is reminding me that if I don't cherish what I have now, they will also leave me and never be found again. Fong knew that Xia was secretly determined. Chapter 9. Moisturizing Things Silently. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Moisturizing Things Silently. Tai Shang, I don't know if it exists. In the past, I felt that time was slow and leisurely. Now, only wish time could be slower, even slower. Quickly, time arrived on Monday. Only then did Xia get up, complete his studies, and complete his daily routine. Because at the evening reunion with classmates, he got busy and carefully organized and cleaned up. Find the outfit that he thinks is good, put it on, and sit by the bed reading a book. My mother walked in and talked to him, asking him how to do it. In short, in one sentence, getting along well with friends, and making a decision to end a big life. By the way, that's the key. Fong knew that in Xia's heart, she murmured in silence. Finally, when my mother left, I realized that Xia had sorted things out, calmed down, and continued to work hard to deepen my understanding. Recently, my body has become increasingly strange, my hands are cold, but there is no discomfort. Every time I try to inhale, those slightly cool, harmless, mysterious powers. My heart can feel a slight coolness. It seems that the air in the world of Yen and Huang contains some special substances more than the air in the world of Earth. Afraid of encountering problems, Xia specifically checked her heart during the follow-up examination. The result was surprisingly good. Only the skin, the speed of shedding is too fast. Other parts are fine, there are always some debris on the face. Only then did Xia know that he had to buy some skincare products. He had never used them before, but it was only delayed. The sagging skin on the upper abdomen and legs due to edema has formed dead skin and automatically peeled off. Everything is developing in a positive direction. At 19 o'clock, the sky was dark, and the streetlights on both sides of the road emitted soft, unobtrusive lights. Fong Zhixia took a taxi to the barbecue restaurant. Push it open, it's closed tonight, with a glass door hanging. The bustling store instantly fell silent. Fong Zhixia touched her face and looked down at her clothes. Estimating the model, the pants are open crotch, not really. Everyone, it's too grand to pay attention like this, isn't it? It's been a long time no see, everyone, said Fong with a smile. Everyone greeted each other in their own way, expressing the pain of parting and longing. I hate to part ways in my life, goodbye, old face. Just now, we were still talking about you. Sure enough, the protagonist was the last one to arrive, said the old classmate politely, as he arrived late. Fong Zhixia walked towards Lin Yiren and replied calmly, you should always dress up and not be too casual, otherwise you will appear. Then he introduced, my girlfriend, Lin Yiren. Although we all know each other, we should first clarify our relationship and avoid any trouble. Oh. Why don't you two come together? Miss Gu's observation was always accurate. Fong Zhixia replied to Gu Jia, she is busy with work, and I am recuperating at home. We can't meet each other, and it's not going well. No matter how busy she is, she can pick you up after work. You're not like a couple, Gu Jia continued, forcing her to the corner. When people have no choice, any choice that arises is the only choice. So Xia lowered her head and kissed Lin Yiren, using her actions to show off. Oh, wow. Everyone cheered. You. Gu Jia's face turned ugly. A noisy gathering of classmates passed quickly. There was no such thing as comparison or vulgar scenes. When parting ways, embrace each other, reluctant to part ways. Feeling for nature, tears welled up in my eyes. A faint sadness of separation, lingering in it, with reluctant yet firm steps, each rushing towards their own goals. Only Ms. Gu Jia hated to say during the embrace, wait for me, I won't let you go. Only then did Xia know that he could only respond with a bitter smile. Sitting in the passenger seat of Officer Lin, opening the car window and letting the cold wind blow. The car was speeding, only to know Xia. I wanted to explain, but I haven't spoken yet about my recent actions. Lin Yiren took over the right to speak. Recently, the atmosphere in the bureau has been tense. As you may have heard, a week ago, in a murder case on October 12, the suspect was arrested and brought to justice. However, due to insufficient evidence, the case has not been resolved for a long time. After a pause, he continued speaking. Director, in a hurry, the Tiandu police inspection team is approaching. Shaoxing County has become the center of Jizhou in an instant, and everyone's eyes are fixed on it. Director, these days, cannot eat, cannot sleep, is in a hurry, and his temper is getting hotter and hotter. She is truly a clever and empathetic, good girl, only to know Xia's heart and sigh. Feng Zhixia was puzzled and said, "Oh. I've heard a little about it, so we can't close the case. Didn't we have a confession? The suspect has been caught, does he refuse to admit it, or what?" Lin Yiren replied, "He does not admit to murder. He only said that he had contact with the victim. But when he left, the victim was intact. Moreover, he just couldn't sleep. He went to see people fishing at night, but never entered that garden area. After staying for half an hour, he left." Lin Yiren paused and continued, "However, the surveillance footage around clearly shows that only the two of them had an intersection that night, and there was no third party. Due to timely discovery, the time of death can be determined within half an hour of their separation." Feng Zhixia asked, "So, was the wind strong that night? Did he go to the crime scene again later?" "There was basically no wind. He never went back. He called the factory to work overtime and left directly. He was still working until we were arrested at the time of the incident," Lin Yiren replied. Feng Zhixia definitely said, "So your efficiency is high enough. So what about the murder weapon?" Feng Zhixia continued to ask. Lin Yiren replied, "It was a wooden stick, and the autopsy results showed that he died from being hit on the head by a tool. However, there is a pond around him, and fishermen who enjoy night fishing will start a fire and use creatures to fish in the direction of light. This provided him with convenience, but the weapon was destroyed." Then, Lin Yiren spoke up and continued, "If it were a different place, just that pile of fire would make the judge believe it. After all, he is not a wanderer, and he doesn't have the habit of camping, so he lives nearby. But in such special places, it becomes more convenient and not accepted by the court. Also, that night there were a few night fishermen who started the fire, right next to the road, and the environment was quite noisy, and no strange noises were heard." Feng Zhixia adjusted the atmosphere and came up with malicious ideas. "It's really troublesome. Let's go out and fight, not to mention the tiger stool and chilly water, let's see if he recognizes it." Lin Yiren rolled his eyes straight. Feng Zhixia became interested and said, "Take me over and take a look. I suddenly felt like I could be of help. Can it be possible?" As the first scene of the crime, the case cannot be concluded and is still sealed. However, professionals are unable to find evidence, can you? Lin Yiren expressed doubt. Feng Zhixia replied lightly, "Bored, learning and studying should be satisfied, just satisfy the curiosity of elementary school students." Outside the city, there is a park built by the river. Two people walked side by side while chatting. Quickly arrived at the destination. Only see the established warning tape and circle the forest. On site, there are remaining police officers. 1. It is to prevent human destruction, and secondly, to facilitate colleagues in the physical evidence department to collect evidence on site. Lin Yiren walked forward and communicated with his colleagues, only to find out that Xia was paying close attention to everything around him. Ginkgo tree, the only one, is a ginkgo tree. Standing in the center of the enclosure, distinct from other trees. Feng Zhixia, a plant that I particularly like. In the southern part of ancient China, it was very common, but it was rare in Jizhou. Feng Zhixia is particularly fond of collecting leaves from various plants. Once, because of a ginkgo leaf, I was overjoyed. In late autumn, the golden leaves gradually wither. Under the incandescent light, looking up, it is very, very beautiful. Put everything in your eyes, engrave it in your heart, and close your eyes. Strive to feel, put in your heart, and understand the story. The autumn wind blows, open your eyes, let go of your thoughts, follow the direction of the wind, and watch the many fallen leaves dancing. Only then did they know that Xia followed in their footsteps, slowly searching towards the place where the leaves finally fell. Citizen, you are not allowed to cross the warning zone. Please step back or take a detour, thank you for your cooperation. The police officer spoke out to obstruct and made suggestions. Feng Jixia nodded, avoided the warning tape, followed the direction guided by her heart, and walked towards her heart. About 60.70 meters away from the crime center, there is a wall. Finally stopped, a thick layer of fallen leaves, struggling to climb in the autumn wind, trying to bypass the wall. Feng Jixia looked at everything in front of her. At this moment, Lin Yiren and her colleagues walked over. Chapter 10. A Wrong Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. A wrong life unknown, there is indeed the charm of unknown. But unknown, there is also unknown blood. The application of abilities has been quite successful. From the ginkgo biloba leaves brought back by the three of them, one of the most unique ones was detected. There are traces of the killer stomping on it. Most importantly, there is still a trace of blood on it, which, after DNA comparison, comes from the victim. The suspect, as stated in the confession, has never entered the garden area. So, how did he leave his mark on that ginkgo leaf stained with the blood of the deceased? It's enough to nail him to death. The event has finally come to an end. Feng Jixia saved him, and the police officers in charge of the case saved his face. Of course, it also saved the director's high blood pressure. Feng Jixia also gained a lot, and the police in Jizhou not only rewarded him, also invite him to join the police force. Greatly satisfied, the family's vanity. And he, relying on this ability to make good use of his soul, demonstrated his extraordinary qualities for the first time. However, regarding the invitation, Feng Jixia is still hesitating. I used to think that having a good job was enough for me. But now, what I am pursuing has changed. He needs more time to comprehend these elusive things. Time-consuming and laborious tasks may leave Feng Jixia with no time to focus on enlightenment and spiritual cultivation. He didn't know how to handle it, so he decided to push away all requests. Work hard and be calm with few desires. But in this situation, he couldn't help it. Only then did Xia realize, without emotion, that he was still an ordinary person. When there is no choice, any choice is the only choice. I have embraced the Tao Te Ching. Choosing one more option can lead to hesitation. For old ties came together again. Wu Tao spoke up and asked, "Brother, haven't you chosen yet after all these days of closed-door visits? If there's anything to choose from, hesitating will lead to defeat. At this point, just go straight. It's better than opening a smoking hotel," Lu Jun advised. Liu Gang expressed his opinion, "Brother, we're not here to make decisions for you, it's just a suggestion. I also hope you go. The Shanmen City Police Station in Jizhou has invited me to work in Shanmen City, but I am still considering it," Lin Yiren said of her own situation. Feng Jixia looked up at her. "So, do you want to go?" Boss Lu anxiously said, "Now when it comes to your matter, why are you asking Yiren?" "I'm still thinking about it, but I haven't made up my mind yet. Give me one night, I want to think it over." Feng Jixia returned. Several people remained silent and looked at each other. Without adding any more psychological burden to him, he patted Xia's shoulder and stood up to bid farewell. At night, Xia sat by the bedside, lost in thought. "After reading the book in my hand, I hope to find the answer from it. Man follows the earth follows the heavens follow the Tao, and the Tao follows nature. From around, little by little, observing and confirming. Start step by step and become proficient. Step by step, increase the difficulty of height. Don't think you have truly mastered it just by chance. The mastery of any skill is divided into learning, thinking, applying, summarizing, and mastering, all of which require dedication. And the level of proficiency in control determines whether one can advance. All those who want to bypass these links. It's all a sign of high vision but low skill. I have figured these things out. Feng Jixia finally feels at ease and can make up her mind. Sleeping soundly, only then did Xia realize that she had seen Lin Yiren in her dream. She crawled into her arms and cried bitterly. An inexplicable emotion surged in my heart, and then Xia woke up and stood in front of the windowsill again, smoking. In a person's life, there are always some special and unreasonable existence. He made you lower your bottom line repeatedly. Lin Yiren is most likely to know the uniqueness in Xia's life. Suddenly, a sentence came to my mind. Xiang Zhuang was dancing his sword. But I am willing. What is unforgettable and heart-wrenching for you will always be lost. Heart once again, remind yourself that if you don't cherish what you have now, then thinking through all of this, Xia finally found out that she could truly fall asleep. The next morning, it was discovered that Xia had completed his studies in science. 4 friends arrived together. Liu Gang directly asked, "Have you considered it?" Feng avoided talking and instead said to Yiren, "Yiren can tell that if you want to enter a larger stage, just go." "But I..." Lin Yiren hesitated. Feng Jixia was certain and told her, "Just go, we won't part ways." Oh, the 3 brothers cheered. "Here, I have to thank you all for your help during my impoverished times. Brothers, we will live together for a lifetime." Feng Jixia sighed. "Damn it. Don't do this, father and son bureau, hurry up." Boss Lu urged. Only then did they know that Xia and Lin Yiren looked at each other and said, Xia, holding a bowl and leaning on a stick, begged for food for half a life, and never met a wealthy master. Today, I am fortunate enough to meet 3 of you, and if I am honored, I will not abandon you. Feng Jixia deliberately paused for a moment before speaking at an extremely fast pace, saying, "If you don't abandon me, Xia is willing to accept me. The 3 of you are adopted sons. I wonder if the 3 of you are willing to accept me." "Willing." 3 people responded together. "Ha ha ha," Lin Yiren laughed heartily. Boss Lu was bewildered and said, No, brother. You, damn it, take a broken bowl, lean on a stick, demand half of your life's food, run in front of us 3, and take in your adopted son. What are you doing?" LV Gang felt depressed. "You have a brain problem, why don't you take over and go to the hospital?" Wu Tao retorted. Feng Jixia joked, "A gentleman's words are hard to recall." "Go play. Get lost," the 3 of them spoke in unison. "How can we solve the problem of relying on others?" Wu Tao asked as he fought and made a fuss. "Don't worry, Xiang Zhuang is just dancing his sword," Feng Jixia replied. LV Gang was lost in thought. "Are you saying?" Feng Jixia nodded, and Wu Tao continued, "How can you thank Yiren? How about making a promise with one's own body?" Feng Jixia confessed. It depends on your performance," Lin Yiren replied with a slight blush on her face. "Don't worry, I will never let go, never again. Feng Jixia has truly been reborn. Not only the body, but also the heart." Boss Lu said, "Hey. It's sour, really sour. Envy, jealousy, hate. I can't bear to see you leave," Lin Yiren said. Wu Tao arched his hand and congratulated, "Is your speed a bit too fast?" Liu Gang sighed and said, "Brother, congratulations. I have a lover, but I haven't become siblings. These guys, they have a set of small words." At the moment of parting, it was only then that Xia wanted to invite them back and they had a drink. The 3 brothers considered his health and said that eating was okay, but drinking was not necessary. Lin Yiren asked Fang Xiaoge, "Are you going with me?" Fang Zhixia replied to her, "No, you go first." "Why?" Lin Yiren was dissatisfied. Fang Zhixia explained, "You didn't invite me again, why should I go?" "If you don't go, I don't want to go either," Lin Yiren said firmly. Fang Zhixia humorously said, "Sister, who are you? Give me back my dependent person." After explaining to Xia, Lin Yi finally came to his senses. The embarrassed little appearance made Fang Zhixia feel comforted. She still feels a bit uneasy. The way of strength, directly embrace her and let her listen closely to her own voice. Love nature, engrave each other in your heart, kiss into your heart. Farewell, finally arrived. A few days later, Lin Yiren will go to Shanmen City. When they parted ways, the two embraced for a long time. Lin Yiren couldn't help but ask the three brothers next to him to stop the county train for a while. However, it was mercilessly rejected.